If you're a business owner or a computer scientist or just in general a man who's very busy with his career or his business or whose life is just full of a lot of positive things, then you might be wondering, well, David, it's all good and well what you're talking about in relation to finding a girlfriend or a life partner, but I genuinely don't have the time. Like, my life is so busy, I have business stuff to take care of, then I want to go to the gym, trying to eat somewhat healthy, or maybe not. I genuinely don't have the time to find somebody. I've been trying this online dating thing, got a couple dates, didn't really work, or maybe you've never even had a date. And then even just the thought of investing more time into something when you don't even know if it's going to pay off is naturally going to turn you off, because you know that time is your most precious asset. Because things like money, you're going to get more money. Things like resources, you're going to get more resources, but you know that you're not going to get your time back. And I'm here to tell you that, first of all, it's not that big a time investment to find a girlfriend or a life partner who's right for you. All you need, if you want to find somebody like that rather quickly, is a couple of hours per week. Obviously, the more you invest, the faster you're going to be able to find that person. 5-10 hours a week are more than enough. Now, again, if you're very busy, you might be wondering, 5 to 10 hours still sounds like a significant amount of time. Two things. One, if you sleep 8 hours per night, you still have 112 waking hours left per week. So, let's say you're an extremely busy person and you spend 60 hours of that, maybe 65, maybe 70 hours in work-related activities. Then you still have 42 hours left per week. Okay, you can deduct a couple of things for food-related activities, meeting some friends, because you're not supposed to neglect your social life. Okay, maybe you want to go to the gym. If you do the math, you will realize you have 5 to 10 hours per week. And the other thing is, as Tony Robbins says, time is emotion. We all have the same amount of time available to us. If something is important enough to us, we're going to make time for it. I'm sure you've been in situations where you're about to meet some male friends of yours, the boys, and you were going to hang out, you were going to have a good time. And then somebody was like, I don't really have the time tonight, boys, kind of busy. You know very well that something else is simply more important to him. And there is no value judgment. But be honest with yourself. Is it that you don't have time? Or is it that it's not important enough to you? And I would propose the idea that it's not even the fact that you don't have the time, but it's much more so that you don't even know how to do it. Okay, so you're somebody who's very, very busy. You have a lot of good things going for you in your life. And then you're looking at a time invest of a couple of hours per week. Okay, any investment of time to you is significant because you know you're not going to get time back. Money, you're going to get back. Other resources, you're going to get back. That's not a problem. But time, you're not going to get back. And if you then don't even know how to invest that time, or if you're going to get the result, obviously you're going to question very strongly if it's a worthwhile thing to do. So the whole thing of time comes back to one understanding: you do have the time. Second of all, if it's important enough to you, even if you shouldn't have the time right now, you're going to be able to make the time. And third of all, if we're following the logic all the way to the end, it literally comes down to you having a plan on how to find a girlfriend or a life partner. And maybe you've been trying a bunch of different things. Maybe you've been trying online dating, Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, other social media platforms, dating sites, and maybe you've had a couple of dates, and some of them may have ended somewhat semi-successfully. You've been able to create some intimacy with women, and it's better than nothing. But for some reason, you're not able to find the right women. For some reason, when you're on a date with a woman that you find really amazing, that blows your mind, that you can really, like, if you look at her, you can really see this going somewhere. She begins to lose interest in you either after the first date or the second date, or even after an initial period of dating, she loses interest. Or maybe you're somebody who's never had a long-term relationship in his life. Maybe, or at least not a successful one. Maybe you've had a couple of short-term things, but you've never really been able to establish a relationship in your life. Well, what I'd like to tell you is that dating and communication is a learnable skill set. Remember the first time you were driving a car? Remember your first session? Could have been with your dad, another family member, your uncle, or with a professional driving instructor. The first time you sat down in that car, you felt a little bit overwhelmed, didn't you? Look, in Europe, depending where you're watching this, in America, I know all of you Americans, you just drive automatics, and that makes a lot of sense. I myself have been driving through cities like San Francisco, and trying to drive gear shift in San Francisco is a suicide mission. So I understand that. But for people in Europe, we have gear shift. Okay? So you have to pay attention to this. You have the indicator. You're trying not to kill anybody while you're driving. Okay? You're trying to pay attention to the road signs. You're trying to pay attention to the fact that you're not driving too fast. There's like 7 or 8 things that you have to pay attention to at the same time, which is a complete overwhelm in the beginning. And then you learn gear shift. Okay, and then you're driving too fast. Then you tick one thing off after another, one of those little skills. And at some point now, do you even think about driving? Do you even put any thought into the skill of driving? No. You feel completely entitled. You feel 100% confident that driving is no longer an issue. Well, I'd like to propose the idea to you that finding a girlfriend or a life partner, developing the communication skills necessary to find a girlfriend or a life partner who's right for you, is just like driving a car. And maybe you're a complete beginner who's never driven the car once. Then you're just 7 or 8 steps behind. 7 or 8 micro skills behind, like building a man-to-woman connection, body language, and so on and so forth. No need to go into too much detail right now. Maybe you're somebody who's been driving for a month, but you're still not that confident. For some reason, you're not able to get on the racetrack. Maybe you're somebody who's quite successfully driving around smaller towns, but then when you get to a big city like Berlin or Paris or New York, okay, or even Dubai, I'm in Dubai right now, and you drive in bigger cities with bigger and faster cars, you feel overwhelmed. Okay, I'm using this as a metaphor. But then you're simply 2 or 3 steps away. It doesn't matter where you are along the continuum of micro skills that you have to learn. It's just a learnable process. And once you understand that dating and communication is a learnable skill set that can get you to the ultimate outcome of finding a girlfriend or a life partner who's right for you, then you look at the time invested, you're like, it's not that big a problem. I mean, chances are, let me make a prediction here, okay? And I may be very wrong. Because obviously I don't know you, but like I've spoken to a tremendous amount of people. We have clients from, I think now it is over at least 9 different countries in the whole world. Like we literally have a global community of clients. I've spoken and worked with so many men, so I see certain habits evolve over and over again. If you're somebody who's successful in his career or his business right now, then you've always had a certain degree of drive. And when you were 18, 19, 16, 17, 20, whatever age you were when you learned what it was like when you learned driving, maybe you weren't as focused on your business. Maybe you already had your business. Maybe you weren't as focused on your career. But I would predict that you had a hobby, that you had something going on in your life that already lent credence to the fact that you had drive in you. It could be, in my case, it was martial arts. When I was 16, I was completely obsessed with martial arts. That was all I was doing. I was training 5, 6, 7 times a week. Kempo karate. It's a combination of karate and kickboxing. That's all I wanted to do. Back in the day, I wanted to start a martial arts school. And then life changes. And you become, new opportunities open up and you realize, actually I'd like to do something else. But you always had a certain degree of drive. Okay? And when you were about to start your driving lessons, you didn't ask yourself if the time investment was worth it. You didn't ask yourself, do I really have the time for that? Now, granted, now you have a business, you have a busy career, you have hobbies. So your life is in fact probably busier, but it's not like you didn't have things to do even back then. Could have been sports, could have been hanging out with your boys, but you had something else you were very passionate about. But you made the time to learn how to drive a car. Because why? Driving a car, just like dating and communication, is not an end goal in itself. Some people love driving, and there's a certain degree of enjoyment that comes through driving a car, especially if it's a nice car, 100%. But it's the outcome of driving is to get you somewhere, okay? You drive to the supermarket, you drive to the hotel, you drive. Ideally, you have somebody in the car next to you, which you don't even have right now, okay? I'm just making a little bit of fun here, provoking you a little bit, okay? But back then, you didn't ask yourself if the time investment was worth it, if you had it, even though you were already probably more busy than other people in your life, other peers. Well, why was that? That's because you knew there was a driving instructor and you knew somebody had a plan. You knew you're going to invest 2-3 months, whatever time it takes, and usually around 2 to 3 months, depending on where you live, depending on what the regulations are. And you knew you were going to walk out of that driving school from lesson 1 to lesson 15, 20, 25, however long it's going to take, and you're going to walk out of there with a skill set. You knew that. You had no doubt. And therefore, you knew the time investment was going to be worth it. So, if you want to learn how you can find a girlfriend or a life partner who's right for you with a reasonable amount of time, a couple hours a week, 5 to 10 hours a week, if you want to learn the exact plan based on your individual situation, then apply for a first free coaching call with a link in my profile. And we're going to design that individualized step-by-step plan for you, with you, how you can do that. Because it's really as simple. Driving, dating, it's a learnable skill set. Now, I'm not a driving instructor, but I've successfully helped men from over 9 different countries now, globally, find girlfriends, life partners, help them with their communication skills. And while I truly believe that human beings are special when it comes to the gift they have to share, there's something special that you have. Some special gift that you're already sharing with the world. You're not special when it comes to your problems. We always believe we're so special. Oh, it's not going to work because, I'm too tall, I'm too short, I'm not beautiful enough, I just don't have the communication skills. It's just never worked for me, and I can't imagine how it would work. You just have to understand, it's just like driving. Just because you haven't been confronted with the idea that this is a learnable skill set, well, now you have been. And I would be looking forward to speaking with you very soon.